stronghold that he had unknowingly been traveling in the direction of the entire run. This run was done on March 1st and it is still the record today. The closest that anyone has ever gotten was a 1753 from Corbanos, which utilized Insomniac strats. I'll link a video in the description if you're interested in learning what this is. Now on to 1.16, the most popular category out of any game in speedrunning history. At the current day, over 2,200 different people have submitted runs, but only one of them can be the longest standing world record. This title goes to Kuriway's 1436 time, which was on top for nearly 3 full months, from November 3rd, 2020 to January 30th, 2021, when it was beaten by Rain-X. This was the first world record to ever use a bastion and truly paved the way for future records. Let's break down how it went. He spawned next to a village and the first thing that he saw was a blacksmith. After getting a bed and some food from a house, he opened the blacksmith chest and saw 4 iron ingots, 7 obsidian, and some bread. This enabled him to craft an iron pickaxe and still be able to enter the nether with the iron dropped from the iron golem. After getting a few more beds, he killed the iron golem, crafted a bucket, mined some gravel for flint, and found a lava pool. He was in the nether at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. One of the first things that he saw in the nether was a bastion, so he mined some gold nugget ore in order to craft some gold boots so the piglins wouldn't attack him. The bastion turned out to be a bridge which has all the gold blocks exposed in one area. He mined all of them and saw a good amount of piglins down below him, so he decided to just trade with them over there. Keep in mind, this is before optimized bastion routing existed. At just over 8 minutes, he had enough obsidian, pearls, and fire resistance, and he didn't need string since he got beds from the village. One ender pearl throw later and he spotted another fortress. It had the added benefit of being in a Soul Sand Valley biome, so more random blazes spawned. After going 6 for 8 on rods, he was ready to blind. At 10 minutes and 55 seconds, he was in the overworld and found himself under an ocean. His first eye throw took him in a direction where he was hugging the coast, and his second one turned left very hard. After making his way to a little beach, he threw another eye and it went straight down. Here is your speedrun tip of the day. Chunks have specific X, Y, and Z coordinates, numbered up to 16. If you know the exact chunk that a stronghold is in, dig down at the X4, Z4 part of the chunk, and you will always hit the entrance of the stronghold. Anyways, this is what Kuriway did, and after entering the stronghold, he found the portal room pretty quickly. He entered the end at around 13 minutes, and upon entry, he made his way to the top of an obsidian pillar. This was before it was known that you should actually face north-south to make the dragon more likely to perch, because he was facing east-west. Regardless, he got the perch, and one nervous 7-bed slap cycle later, he had the world record. As I stated earlier, this record stood for nearly 3 months. What made this run so good is not because something extraordinary happened, but rather because nothing went wrong in the run. His blind travel time was around 11 minutes, and the only real comparison for this pace is D-Max's 1726 run, where he was out of the nether at 12.5 minutes. His blind travel distance was around 350 blocks, which is really solid, and he was able to route the stronghold very quickly. To top it off, the dragon didn't take too long to perch. I think the fact that nothing went wrong in the run is what made the record stick for so long. Before I move on, I want to show you something really cool about this seed. It's extremely hard to see and blends in almost perfectly with its surroundings, but the portal room was actually ocean exposed. In an alternate reality where he sees it, this could have been a sub 14 and maybe even have stuck as the world record until 2-letter name got his 1212 on February 24th, 2021. Anyways, these were all of the longest standing world records for each RSG category. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day.
There are plenty of different ways to measure who the best speedrunner is. You can look at who has the world record in your favorite category. You can find whoever you think has the best mechanics and gameplay. You could just pick your favorite streamer. But there's one title that's come into focus recently that seems to be a good measure of who's really on top of the Minecraft speedrunning universe: Combined RSG. By combining a runner's RSG times from pre-1.9, 1.9 through 1.15, and 1.16 plus, you can see who truly excels the most across the 3 biggest categories of the game. To say that this definitively proves who the best speedrunner is, or even that there is a single best speedrunner in such a widely run game, would be pretty dumb in my opinion. But it's an extremely impressive accomplishment to come out on top of this list. And right now, the competition at the top couldn't be closer. Today, I'm going to break down Doi Pingu's new 1.7 RSG world record, and how in my opinion it made him, for the moment, the #1 Minecraft speedrunner in the world. Hey, if you end up enjoying the video, please consider subscribing. Most of our viewers aren't subscribed, and it does help us out a lot. Thanks, and enjoy the video. When you think of the best Minecraft speedrunner, the first name that comes to mind for a lot of people is going to be Illumina. Not only is he the most popular Minecraft speedrunner, but he's also very, very good at the game. Speedrunners of every aspect and version of the game look up to him as the standard for Minecraft excellence. And the subject of today's video, Doi Pingu, actually has a clip of Illumina calling him a good speedrunner as his follow alert.
Who think he's a good speedrunner? Name more than one. Doi Pingu.
And on February 22nd, when Illumina got the first sub 14 in 1.16 RSG, he became not only the speedrunner with the best reputation, but the speedrunner with the best overall time, with his combined RSG dropping to 1 hour flat. But, in the meantime, another top runner had been grinding his weakest category, and by PBing in 1.7 just a few days later, Corbanos took over the top spot, with the first sub-hour combined time. But after absolutely demolishing the 1.14 world record in March, Pingu had brought himself into third overall, less than 3 minutes behind Corbanos. Still, when you're already playing at such a high level, those 3 minutes are a lot more than they seem. So, how does Pingu go about cutting down his combined time? Obviously, 1.9 through 1.15 is out of the question. He's already got an insane time in that category. That leaves 1.7 and 1.8, or 1.16. In pre-1.9, Pingu's 19th on the leaderboard with a 27.06. In 1.16, Pingu is a satisfying 116th, with a PB of 1742. The choice is obvious. For such a mechanically skilled player, all you need to do is grind resets in 1.16 until you get a God Seed, run a sub 15, and it's a done deal. But Pingu isn't playing for the clout, and there's no doubt that running other versions won't get as much clout as 1.16. He's playing to challenge himself, and to compete at the highest level, which is why he decided to return to running the hardest RSG version. But still, not to go for world record. With a PB almost 5 minutes behind Silver's 1.8 record, Pingu was going for a humble sub 25. But then, on April 24th, something insane happened. Let's get into this run. Oh, and by the way, you gotta go show Pingu some support for this run. This guy literally has 2 of the 3 biggest Minecraft world records. Let's just say that sub count better get well into the 4 digits, or else no weekly thing videos for a week. Wait, that doesn't work. Just go sub to him. Getting into the run, Pingu spawns on the beach of a savanna, and almost immediately spots a lava pool. Since it's been a while since I've covered this category, let's walk through everything Pingu's gonna need to find, because there is a lot. Obviously, he's gonna start off with his stone tools. Food is an immediate priority because hunger is a lot more punishing in this version, so getting some raw meat will work for now. Still, the faster he can get a flint and steel, the less time he has to spend gathering food overall. On top of killing these pigs, he also finds some chickens, which are going to be necessary to craft arrows for the end fight. By 140, he's in a cave, where he's going to need 6 iron for a bucket, flint and steel, and shears. A minute later, he's out collecting wood and leaves for blocks. More gathering of wood, gravel, and food, and he's ready to enter the nether. After crossing an inconveniently wide river, he's at the lava pool and entering at just under 6 minutes.
No. Oh.
He's able to reach the blaze spawner in about 30 seconds, where he has a pretty uneventful blaze fight. He gets above average spawn rates with below average drops, ending up with 6 rods in 5 cycles. He does lose 1 rod to the lava, but because he gets the 5th and 6th rods back to back, it's not really a time loss. With a 9:45 nether leave, he's on pretty good pace, although his tower isn't going to be finished quite as fast as you would like. Now, at the tower is when modern pre-1.9 runs really start to get interesting, with tons of new variations of strats emerging recently, especially in 1.8. While 1.8 has much better potential overall, Pingu is still playing 1.7 because, as he mentions in his description, it's the first version he ran, and it has the most nostalgia for him. Still, you'd expect to see at least Seaskull's Chaos Tower, but nope. He's doing the classic 1.7 tower, the one you probably think of as the Illumina Tower, although in reality it's also the Seaskull Tower. Stan Seaskull. With the small variation of Pingu using a trapdoor instead of a chest to preserve his items, the tower is in its classic form, and Pingu is able to drop down for his first set of pearls at 12:30, a very solid pace where he can reasonably expect to get all the pearls he needs. It's the pearl collecting that really bumps this pace forward though, as Pingu gets 9 Endermen with 6 pearl drops in the first 2 cycles.
6 pearls at 13 minutes? Okay, man. Okay, man.
You probably noticed there how calm Pingu is, and I just want to point out that this is, in my opinion, one of his biggest strengths. When you watch Pingu play, he's obviously far better than almost anyone else, but his mechanics don't exactly stand out the way other top runners like Illumina, Seaskull, or Feinbergs do. But the thing about Pingu is he's always playing at peak performance. When he's on world record pace, he doesn't seem any more nervous than when he's not. Of course he does get nervous, but it just doesn't seem to affect his demeanor, or more importantly, his gameplay at all. And that, as he's proven, is an extremely valuable skill. After getting 6 pearls in his first 2 cycles, he goes 2 for his next 6, balancing out his luck. After that, it's another hot streak of 4 for 2, which leaves him with 12 pearls. His plan was to leave with 12 pearls, but unfortunately he actually miscounted here, saying he has 11 and he'll leave after the next cycle no matter what. After getting 1 pearl from the next cycle, he's leaving on 12, which is actually 13. Given that he would have been willing to leave on 11, he definitely would have left 1 cycle earlier had he realized he already had 12, which would have actually saved him over 20 seconds. Still, after some quick crafting, he's able to leave at 18:20, which is a really good pace for his goal of sub 25, but still not exactly world record pace. For comparison, in Seaskull's 22:48, he threw his first Eye of Ender at 16:25, at about the same distance from 0-0. I'm not comparing Pingu to Silver because Silver's run involved a lot of pausing, meaning the on-screen timer was inaccurate. But in this run, it's the endgame that really brings it back, as we're about to see. One upside of Pingu's current position is that he's going through the ocean, meaning he could get an exposed stronghold and save a lot of time on triangulation. After about a minute of traveling, he gets what he's looking for, and is able to enter the end at nearly sub 20 minutes. And suddenly, with a good end fight, he is very much on world record pace. His response?
Holy. Not sub 20.
His chatters are more nervous than he is. Pingu gets a really good end layout, with very few towers and none of them that high up. And with over half a stack of arrows, he's able to efficiently take out most of the dragon's healing. After taking out the towers, the dragon charges almost immediately, and Pingu's able to get a pretty good amount of damage. Another quick charge, and the dragon's almost at half health. A third quick charge with suboptimal damage, and this time, the dragon's a little too eager, with Pingu having to hit it away. But this dragon is relentless, repeatedly charging, and with a little over a quarter of its health left, it comes back at Pingu one last time.
Oh my gosh.
But he can't quite finish it off. With only seconds left to clutch up the world record, it's going to come down to Pingu's aim with the bow, and completely rising above the pressure. Pingu, of course, clutches it out.
GG. Holy. Let's go!
I think he's a good speedrunner, need more than one. Doi Pingu.
If you couldn't tell, that excited screaming wasn't Pingu. He replaced his dragon death noise with Sizzler's iconic reaction to getting the first ever sub 20. Now, Pingu's reaction is a lot more on brand for him.
We did it!
I think he's a good speedrunner, need more than one.
Is that world record?
Doi Pingu.
And that's about as excited as he gets.
I think he's a good speedrunner, name more than one. Doi Pingu.
In the end, it's honestly just super impressive how well Pingu handles pressure. And he deserves all the praise he's gotten, and should continue to get, for this record. So, all that leaves us with 2 questions. What does the future of pre 1.9 look like? And what about the future of combined RSG? Well, one of those is really easy to answer. This pre-1.9 record shouldn't stand for long. Like I said, there have been constant innovations to 1.8 recently, and it definitely has a lot more potential than 1.7, including sub-20 potential. It also involves less resetting, meaning more runners are trying their hand at it. Still, it was really nice to see a throwback to a classic 1.7 world record before 1.8 totally takes over the category. But beyond that, what about the combined RSG record? Well, after getting the second ever sub-18 in 1.9 through 1.15, Corbanos' time was just seconds behind Pingu's current time, and after a small 1.16 PB, he's actually about 4 seconds ahead. Pingu might end in the lead after his 1.7 run is retimed, or it might still be Corbanos. As of right now, it's just too close to call. I'll give Pingu the edge due to his 2 world records. Outside of those two, Feinberg seems like the biggest threat to compete for the overall best spot. He's got a better 1.16 time than either of them, and is currently grinding for the 1.8 world record. There's no doubt he'll at least get a sub-25 in that category, if not world record, which leaves 1.9 through 1.15 as his biggest area of improvement. He has a great low 22 time, but it's not elite like Corbanos and Pingu's PBs are. Also of note are Cube1337X, who recently became just the 3rd player to get sub-hour combined RSG, and might have the most balanced amount of skill across all 3 categories, Illumina, just because he's Illumina and who knows what he might do, and Seaskull. That one's admittedly a stretch because he's brand new to 1.16 and not much further along in 1.9 through 1.15. But, given how dedicated he is to the grind and how willing he is to search for new strats, I wouldn't count him out in the long run. No matter who is next to take the crown, combined RSG is a category I will be eagerly watching, and in the future, maybe even possibly witnessing a sub-50 combined time. For reference, combining the 3 world records right now gives you a time of 49:23, so that goal is a long way off. There's plenty of potential for the records before 1.16 to be lowered a lot though, and any of the players I named in this video, or maybe just someone new, could be the ones to do it. I hope you enjoyed this Minecraft world record analysis, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment so more people can find the video. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. And you can also follow us on Twitter and join our Discord. All the links are in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. The date is February 22nd, 2021. The combined age of the Random Seed Glitchless world records for the 3 main Minecraft versions is 39 days. 1.16 has been undergoing massive strategic overhauls with major innovations pretty much constantly for the last few months. After settling down for a while, the implementation of pirate strats put the 1.14 world record back into flux. And even on 1.7, where Illumina's 2353 stood at a year old, as maybe the most iconic world record in Minecraft history, even that run was no longer sacred, as innovations to the oldest category led to yet another new world record. Speedrunners, you know I love new world records. Hell, it's practically the topic of this entire channel at this point. But do you think you could slow down just a little bit? Why not just take a week? Minecraft's not going anywhere. These innovations may not last forever. Let's savor them.
No.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Minecraft world record analysis. Today, we're looking not only at how Illumina got the first sub-14 in 1.16 RSG, but how he did it on a relatively bad seed, how he did it when no one expected him to, and how he did it in a way that's led to a lot of controversy over the status of the run. This is Illumina's 1353. By the way, if you enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more videos like it. Only a small percentage of our viewers are subbed, and it helps out a lot. Enjoy the video. For as long as it's been popular, Illumina has been, for all intents and purposes, the face of Minecraft speedrunning. And don't go down in the comments and tell me it's Dream. I will laugh at you. But as the massive amounts of optimizations available in 1.16 have been discovered over the past few months, and as the wider Minecraft community has kept its eyes on the 1.16 leaderboard, Illumina, to an extent, faded into the background. His personal best on speedrun.com was 19 minutes 16 seconds from all the way back in October. He had several better runs, but as the speedrun.com leaderboards were flooded with thousands of players trying their hands at the most accessible category in Minecraft, he followed the lead of other major runners and decided to not submit a run unless it would be ranked very highly on the leaderboard. On top of this, while Illumina was speedrunning a lot, he wasn't matching the half a dozen hours of grinding per day every day that many top speedrunners were doing. Due to those factors, while nobody questioned that Illumina was still among the top runners in the game, he wasn't exactly in the conversation about who could get the next world record, or who the best 1.16 runner was. He busied himself with other events, speedrunning tournaments, and like I said, a still substantial amount of speedruns. But at this point, it was easy to list 10 or 20 speedrunners who were more likely to get the next 1.16 record than Illumina. That didn't quite sit right with him. It's not that he was jealous of other runners, he had far from any reason to be. It's that, like a true speedrunner, the urge never went away to grind his time lower and maybe even make history yet again. So, he started a second Twitch channel, where he would stop interacting with chat, turn off his mic, and try hard, which would lead to more focused gameplay and better decision making than if he was simultaneously being an entertainer for the thousands of people watching him. Well, at that point, maybe we should have known what was going to happen. But the fact that this run was the return of the biggest speedrunner to the top of the leaderboard is far from the most interesting thing about it. Let's take a look at how Illumina speedruns Minecraft in a way that no other runner does anymore, and how it's likely actually holding him back from his true potential. The modern 1.16 meta has advanced to the point where runners are capitalizing on almost every bit of information available to them in the vanilla game. And much of that information comes from this page right here, accessed in-game using F3. The most extreme example of that is the relatively new E-strats, which I'll explain in a second. But long before those came about, runners had been using their coordinates to systematically search each quadrant of the Nether for the best chance of finding structures, and in runs where they blind travel back to the overworld with a second portal, to do so at an optimal distance from the origin. E-strats take this to a whole new level. By seeing the number of permanent and non-permanent entities within their render distance and within their field of view, runners can essentially find bastions through walls, which is an incredibly useful strategy that can turn a Nether reset into PB pace. Beyond this, the information on the F3 page can be used to triangulate the location of the stronghold and estimate the distance of it. The use of F3 is hardly new to Minecraft speedrunning, but with the new Nether innovations, and particularly E-strats, they've become far, far more important to 1.16 runs than any other version. Here's the thing about F3 though. Illumina doesn't use it. You see, back in the day, not before 1.16, I mean way back in the day, Minecraft speedrunning was essentially just a Japanese community. The game was popular in the rest of the world, but no one played it competitively yet, at least not in the way the first Minecraft speedrunners did. While they never made an official rule of it, these speedrunners had a mutual agreement to not use F3 in their speedruns. It was part of the game, sure, but it gave you information that felt like it should stay outside the Minecraft world, especially in a competitive setting. It just felt too much like cheating for these speedrunners to use it, and when Illumina got into speedrunning, he followed that example. This practice has long since faded away, but Illumina has continued to never use F3, and he'll continue to do so into the future. For a long time, he could get away with this without a major impact to his runs. he could simply eyeball the stronghold triangulation, and all the other uses of F3 just made things more convenient or easier, not faster. But in 1.16, not using F3 puts Illumina at a legitimate disadvantage compared to the vast majority of runners. Instead of finding the location of bastions and using quadrants to narrow down structure location, Illumina simply runs through the nether like we used to do. Instead of blind traveling at optimal coordinates, he just guesses how far away he is and tries to get lucky. These are legitimate outcomes that decrease his ability to speedrun well, which is what makes his new world record in 1.16, the version dominated by F3, all the more impressive. But the most impressive thing about Illumina's 1353 is that he did it on the seed he did it on, which is to say, this run was far from a god seed. We'll get to why in a bit, but for now, let's get into the run. About 5 minutes after starting his no mic stream up, Illumina is ready to start playing some runs, or at least to warm up. His first world is an island spawn with no trees, so he resets. Next, a mesa next to an ocean, but with nothing useful in sight. In the third world he loads up, he spots a village, so he decides to play it. Entering the village, Illumina finds the second best building that can spawn in Plains villages, the house with 4 beds. After grabbing a 5th bed from another house, he spots the best building that can spawn in a village. Then, he spots another one right next to it. His first blacksmith is great. An iron pickaxe is the perfect item to start a run with, and 6 obsidian is great to have as well. In the second blacksmith, he gets 3 more obsidian and a bit of food, meaning he can grab lava from the blacksmith and build another portal as soon as he's ready. It doesn't take him long to get ready. He's happy to go with 5 beds, an amount that would be risky for most, and he's already got an iron pick. Despite some relatively clunky crafting, it is his first run of the day after all. He's able to get tools, bread, flint, and the iron golem in under 2 minutes. After building his portal, he enters the nether at 3 minutes, which is a great time, even for top level runners. Now is when the lack of F3 would theoretically come back to bite him. Runners can immediately find the number of nearby bastions and their direction and even their distance using E-strats, or at least methodically search each quadrant. But Illumina instead runs freely through the nether, with not a care in the world. Speaking of which, his nether isn't that great at first. He spawns in a basalt delta, the worst biome for speedrunning. After making his way out of it and dropping down to the coast of a lava lake, he spots a fortress which he'll have to bridge to. While ideally you'd have found a bastion at this distance from spawn, Illumina has plenty of reasons to continue the run, given that he could use it to warm up, he had a great nether entry, and while it's not preferable, playing a fortress before a bastion is perfectly viable. He's into the fortress about 1 minute and 15 seconds after entering the nether. He gets an exposed blaze spawner right next to where he enters the fortress, which can be dangerous, but his iron armor means he doesn't have to worry. His blaze rates are fantastic, as he gets 2 rods from the first 3 blazes that spawn, goes and kills 2 stray blazes, both of which drop rods, and gets rods from each of the next 2 blazes that spawn. With 6 rods after less than a minute of fighting, he's ready to leave on a great pace. That great pace becomes fantastic as he spots a bastion on his way out of the fortress. Getting into a bastion at 6 minutes would be a pretty good pace without having gotten any blaze rods, let alone being completely done with the fortress. The bastion is the treasure variant, which is definitely one of the better 2 bastions with modern routes, and my personal favorite. While it appears tricky at first, with the side of the bastion doused in lava, it only slows Illumina down by a second or 2. Using a new variation of the faster treasure route originally developed by 11dbillion, Illumina is able to quickly get his gold blocks trading with the piglins, although he gets fairly unlucky with the gold spawns, getting only 4 out of 10 potential gold blocks. Lucky trades offset that though, and at 7:45 the only thing he's missing is 3 more obsidian. He only got 4 obsidian from the 4 chests he looted in the bastion, which is a fairly low amount, but regardless he has enough gold to trade for the remaining obsidian. Because he doesn't use F3, he has to estimate his distance from the origin, and he figures that blind traveling from right in the bastion is as good a spot as any. He's able to blind travel back to the overworld at 8 minutes, 40 seconds. Depending on your level of familiarity with Minecraft speedrunning, you'll have varying reactions to that number. 840. In my video covering the trio's random seed world record, I mentioned that the sub 9 minute nether travel was an otherworldly pace, and that was accomplished with different people fighting blazes and killing endermen. Illumina was even faster than them. On returning to the overworld, Illumina throws his first eye bender. He has no way of knowing exactly how far from the origin he is, although it turns out that he nether traveled at coordinates that were very optimal. He's got some bad terrain ahead of him, but he puts his extra ender pearls to good use, throwing 3 at a direction somewhat off of the original angle, before throwing a second eye to begin to triangulate. Unfortunately, that eye goes in almost the exact same direction as the original, meaning the stronghold is far away. 2 pearls later, he throws another eye to find it going the exact same way. 2 more pearls and he arrives at the ocean, which is good news both because he can travel faster through it and because he'll likely be able to see the stronghold underwater instead of having to triangulate it. More good news arrives as he throws another eye vendor and the angle starts to sharpen, although the eye breaks, meaning he's not guaranteed to be able to fill in the end portal. Things begin to look even worse as he follows the exact angle of the last eye for 50 seconds without spotting it. Starting to doubt the angle, he throws a 4th eye which urges him to continue on in that same direction. After another full minute of boating, he finally spots the stronghold, a full 3 minutes after leaving the nether. His blind travel was in a great spot, but he got very unlucky with the stronghold location. To somewhat compensate for this, he's able to directly enter the portal room, where he's relieved to find a 2-eye. Entering a minute and 37 seconds before the world record time, it's now up to the dragon to give him the chance to set a new record, and up to Illumina to follow through on it. There's always pressure in these situations, but there are few people more used to that pressure than Illumina. He sets up his dragon perch spot and is in position for the dragon to perch at 1310. As the dragon shoots a fireball at him there, you may notice something strange. Illumina doesn't have hitboxes on. Having hitboxes on makes one cycling way easier. Why wouldn't he use it? Well, you see folks, turning on hitboxes doesn't involve accessing the F3 page, but it does involve using the F3 button. That's reason enough for Illumina to stay away from it, and so, he taught himself to one cycle without hitboxes. Because he's Illumina, and he can do that sort of thing. Oh, and one more thing Illumina can do is clutch up a new world record on his first run of the day.
What? Bro! I just started the stream. I just started the stream. This is like my first run.
So that's how Illumina beat the game in under 14 minutes, on what would probably be a solid sub 20 for most top runners. The overworld was good, with a great opportunity for nether entry. The nether had a fortress and a bastion, but in the wrong order, and not super close to the nether entry. The stronghold location was horrible, bad enough that it took a really fast dragon perch to compensate. despite Illumina's incredible pace leaving the Nether. By the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the potential this run shows me for this category. But first, let's look at what makes this run so controversial. When Rainex got a 14-minute, 10-second world record back on January 30th, there was a lot of question as to whether it would be accepted. This was because he was using Fabric API, a mod which had been banned because it could be used to hide mods that could change the game. Fabric API had only been banned recently, and the only reason Rainex had it was because he wasn't aware it was banned. The mods decided to let it slide, as they were sure he hadn't cheated. But going forward, they set this rule in stone for everyone to know. Starting February 1st, no runs with Fabric API would be accepted. Illumina, himself an official moderator on speedrun.com, was well aware of this rule, and to his knowledge, he followed it. But as it turns out, he didn't. He did have Fabric API running when he played the new world record run. Like I said, this mod doesn't actually do anything on its own, but it can be a way to hide other mods. The way it unfolded was that Illumina got the record, spent about the next 30 minutes reacting and rewatching the run with his chat, and then he was called by Geosquare, one of the head moderators of Minecraft speedruns.
Here's my mods. Fabric, wait. Do I have it enabled?
Oh no.
Wait, what does that even do? Why is it banned?
Geosquare informed him that he did have Fabric API running, and Illumina promptly ended stream and joined a private call with the rest of the speedrun moderators. In that call, he showed them the entirety of his mods folder, as well as the rest of the information needed to verify that he didn't cheat. And as can be confirmed by the dozen mods that were in that Discord call, Illumina definitively didn't cheat. But should his run be accepted? He didn't follow the rules. There was no malicious intent, but through a mistake he made himself, he broke the rules the mods had supposedly removed all breathing room from. I love Illumina, and so does every person who likes Minecraft speedruns, but that's irrelevant. Feel free to form your own opinion about it, but given the way the mod team presented the rule, I think the run shouldn't be verified. It's only being verified because it's at the top of the leaderboard. A new runner getting their first sub 20 would be unable to instantly show their mod folder to the verifiers, and would therefore have their run rejected if they made the same mistake as Illumina. I love this run because of how different it is from the average modern 1.16 run, but I don't think it should take that top spot on the leaderboard. If the mods were to change the rule to any run that has Fabric API installed will be rejected unless the runner can definitively prove they didn't cheat, I think that would be more suitable in general, and would make this situation a lot easier. But regardless, it's going to end up being verified. And even if it weren't, the speedrunning community, myself included, would treat it as the run it is. The first sub 14 in single player RSG history. And that's historic. Finally, this run is maybe the strongest proof to me yet that sub 10 is possible in this category. Let's look at where time could have been saved in the run. Illumina had a great enter nether time, but if he had spawned in the village, it would have saved 30 seconds. Similarly, his nether after entering the fortress is about as perfect as we'll see in a run, which is weird to think with the fortress coming before the bastion. Still, he could have easily spawned a whole minute closer to the fortress. Remember in the bastion how he got unlucky with the chests and could have left at 7:45 with more obsidian? That's another 45 seconds saved. There's really only one last time save, but it's a huge one. 3 minutes and 40 seconds passed between Illumina leaving the nether and entering the stronghold. Given that he was at a very good distance from the origin when he blind traveled, he could have spawned right above the stronghold. Combine those 4 time saves, and that's almost 6 minutes faster, which comes close to an 8-minute speedrun. Obviously, this theoretical speedrun has an essentially perfect seed. But those seeds exist. At some point, all those variables will come together. And as long as there are runners like Illumina who remain dedicated to the game, and there are many, that goal can someday be met. That's about it for this world record analysis. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like so more people can see it. We've got tons of videos.
Let me ask you a question. What would it take to consider someone as one of the greatest speedrunners to touch the game? Would it be holding multiple world records and consistently being a top runner? Allow me to introduce you to Nice Twice.
Do you see my hole?
Yes. How can I come down there?
Yeah, just jump down, I have water.
Okay.
What? No, no, no!
No.
No way!
What was that?
It went
What
to
the
ice.
fuck? No way.
When did you start playing Minecraft? That was, I think, back in 2012, and it started with like someone brought Minecraft on a USB stick to school, and we just started playing on the LAN world together during class. Who was your biggest inspiration when you started speedrunning? I found out about speedrunning through German YouTubers and streamers who started doing co-op speedruns, and one of them also did solo speedruns, and I thought that I can do that as well, and my goal was just to be faster than them. The YouTuber is called BastiGHG, the other one Hawaii Valle. And yeah, right after that, I also found Illumina stream when he was doing SSG speedruns. And with that, I also found Benex doing 1.14 speedruns. And my goal was to like play on the same level.
Nice Twice, similar to others, started out with pretty humble beginnings in speedrunning.
What was your first PB? As I said, I started with 1.14, and back then there was no TNT strat. So what you just did was getting gold and diamonds from the fortress and chop wood. And with this strat, my first PB was 54 minutes. And in 1.16, well, when 1.16 came out, my PB in 1.14 was 27.5 minutes. And the first run I finished in 1.16 was, I think, 48 minutes, but I'm not sure.
Before I talk about his speedrunning career, I will mention a couple of things. Prior to speedrunning, he had 2,800 subscribers on YouTube, mostly from uploading survival games highlights videos, and Nice Twice is a bit of a category hopper, so this video is going to jump around a lot, but everything is in chronological order. The first ever speedrun that he submitted to the Minecraft speedrun leaderboards was on February 19th, 2020, with a time of 51 minutes and 36 seconds. This run was in version 1.14, and at the time it was 7th place on the leaderboards. 12 days later, he would improve his time to 41 minutes and 48 seconds, bringing him up to 6th place. 10 days after that, he got a time of 38 minutes and 47 seconds, just barely outside of the top 3. For the next 3 months, he would stop playing the category to focus on some other categories. On March 17th, him and his brother, Minecraft submitted their first 1.14 Duos PB at 36 minutes and 2 seconds. A little under a month later, they improved their time to 26 minutes and 29 seconds, putting them first place on the leaderboards. 4 days later, 24:45. But now they had real competition. On that same day, Illumina and Fruitberries teamed up and got a time that was exactly 2 seconds faster. Instead of immediately contesting this, Nice Twice and Minecraft teamed up with a player named Fati and easily claimed the trio's world record with a time of 25 minutes and 4 seconds. This also took place on April 20th, so insert funny joke. 3 days after this, the dynamic duo of brothers reclaimed the duo's world record with a time of 23 minutes and 41 seconds. On April 27th, Nice Twice would team up with Real Benex, Hendrini, and Foti to get the quads world record, and they did with a time of 25 minutes, 0 seconds, and 530 milliseconds. You are probably wondering why I was that specific with the time, and the reason for that is because they broke the previous world record by under half a second. Over the few weeks that he hadn't played duos, Frozen and Real Benex took the world record in the category, and Nice Twice, again teaming up with his brother, would not let that stand. On May 14th, 2020, they got a time of 21 minutes and 35 seconds. This record stuck for a bit, and by a bit, I mean nearly 6 months. Was this because the time was super good, or because not many people were playing the category? Probably a combination of both. Anyways, let's get back to the timeline. On May 31st, Nice Twice dabbled in some set seed glitchless, improving his time from 6 minutes and 27 seconds to 4:43 over the span of 10 days, bumping his leaderboard position from 6th place to 6th place. After not touching 1.14 RSG for just under 3 months, he returned to it by immediately improving his PB by 5 minutes with a time of 33:15, putting him at 20th place on the leaderboards. Fear not, because 6 days later, he dropped his time by 5.5 minutes, getting a 27:36, bumping him all the way up to 7th. Let's look at the date that this took place though, because June 23rd was a very significant day. You see, this was the day that Minecraft 1.16 came out. The first 1.16 run that Nice Twice submitted was a time of 27 minutes and 12 seconds, taking place a mere 4 days after the category was released. This time was only second to Real Benix's 24:32, but that wouldn't last for too long. On July 3rd, 2020, Nice Twice would submit a run that was so ahead of its time that it truly raised the question of if a sub 20 was possible. His time was 21 minutes and 8 seconds. Let's break down this run. He spawned in a savanna biome and immediately started chopping a tree. After this, he made his way to a cave where he got stone tools. After getting a bunch of gravel, he made his way to a nearby desert village. In there, he found an insane blacksmith chest, holding 3 diamonds and 4 iron ingots, along with some armor and a sword. The significance of this is that it enables him to completely skip killing the iron golem. After getting a bunch of hay bales, he traded them to a farmer for emeralds, which he used to get arrows from a fletcher. After finding a nearby lava pool, he entered the nether at just under 5 minutes and spawned directly next to a fortress. Not only that, but the spawner was right there. After some pretty bad raids, he had all of his blaze rods by just over 8.5 minutes, and the next thing he did was mine gold nugget ore to use to craft ingots to trade with a piglin. After trading just 4 ingots, he got 2 pearl trays, which has less than a 1% chance of happening. He was out of the nether at 10 minutes and 18 seconds, and his Eye of Ender took him over a desert. After about a minute of running, he found an ocean, which ended pretty quickly. After traversing through a savanna and a mountain biome, he found another ocean. After this ocean ended, he threw one more eye on land and it completely changed directions. He was digging down for the stronghold at the low 16-minute mark and dug into it at 16 minutes and 30 seconds. After about 10 seconds of routing the stronghold, he found the portal room and was in the end at 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Something to note is that during this time period, the 1 cycle was a thing but not optimized at all, so players mainly resorted to bowing the dragon to death. After a pretty slow end fight, he managed to finish off the dragon with a bed, finishing the run at 21 minutes and 8 seconds, securing a world record that would stick for over a month. The reason that I say this run is so ahead of its time is because we would not see an end entrance that fast until a run by Real Benix over 2 months later.
Oh, let's go, Junge. Oh my god. Which one are you most proud of? First one I would say is my former world record in 1.16. A lot of you should know about it because it's like it was a record for about 1.5 months, and it was just classic strats. When 1.16 came out, it didn't get beaten for a long time, and I think I can be pretty proud of it. I got quite lucky with that.
I should also mention that with this run, his YouTube and Twitch started gaining a lot of followers and his average viewers for streams shot up. The timing of this run was quite unfortunate for Nice Twice though, because 6 days later, a YouTuber by the name of Zyphon released a video exposing a player named Drem for faking a speedrun. At the current day, this video has over 11 million views, and one of the main reasons why he was able to expose this player is because his loading screen didn't match up with what it should have looked like. Here is what he said in the video.
When the cheater started up the world, the loading screen began in the center. In the other video footage, you saw how the loading screen looks whenever you load up the same seed. No matter how many times you load up the seed, the loading screen always begins in the bottom left corner. Try it for yourself. Here's the seed on the screen, and you will see.
This information was wildly misunderstood by the masses and interpreted as any loading screen that doesn't start from the bottom left corner means the run is fake, which is false. Unfortunately, Nice Twice had committed the crime of having his loading screen not start from the bottom left corner, so he got a lot of hate from the viewers of the video, being that his run was the world record. Fortunately, Zyphon cleared this up pretty quickly, but the effects of that are still seen today on Nice Twice's video. The comments are disabled, and his like to dislike ratio is wildly disproportionate, especially compared to other world records. After this run, on July 30th, 2020, Nice Twice teamed up with Real Ben X, Minecravenger, and Frozen to take the hotly contested 1.16 4-player world record with a time of 18 minutes and 50 seconds. I say hotly contested because at this time, second place was barely behind them with a time of 33 minutes and 1 second. Exactly a month later, he would improve his 1.14 Setsi glitchless time to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, putting him at 11th place, and on September 1st, Nice Twice got his first ever sub-20 run in 1.16 with a time of 19 minutes and 51 seconds. 19 days later, he teamed up with his brother, Minecravenger, and shattered the 1.16 duos world record with a time of 21 minutes and 19 seconds, and 2 weeks later, while he was playing 1.14 RSG, he beat his previous PB with a time of 26 minutes and 23 seconds. Just to give you some time to process all of these runs, this will be a bit of an intermission. Have I brought up the sponsor of today's video yet? No, I haven't, because there is no sponsor. If you can't tell at this point, Nice Twice plays a bunch of different categories. Alright, back to the speedruns, where he would try 1.16 SSG and get a time of 2 minutes and 46 seconds, which was 18th place on the leaderboards. On October 27th, Nice Twice teamed up with his brother again to try to take back their 1.16 duos world record, only to fall short by 2 seconds with a time of 19 minutes and 48 seconds. Not to worry though, because 5 days later, they took it back, getting a 19:37. The very next day, Nice Twice got a time of 18:17 in 1.16 RSG, which was 5th place at the time. The day after that, he improved his 1.16 SSG PB to 2:39, and yet again, on the very day after that, he got a time of 24:04 in 1.14 RSG, which brought him to the top 15. 3 weeks later, he improved his 1.16 PB to 17:47, bringing him up to 6th place. On December 6th, he decided to attempt an all-advancement speedrun, which took him a grueling 16 hours and 35 minutes. This was a 3rd place time, and in my opinion, even completing the speedrun is already an achievement.
Another run I'm pretty proud of is my All Advancements run. I think there should be more runners trying this category, even though it takes a long time. But it's a lot of fun and also requires a lot of skill.
On December 15th, he improved his 1.16 SSG personal best to 2:29, which was a 4th place time on the leaderboards. 15 days later, he got a new PB in version 1.14 with a time of 23 minutes and 8 seconds, and since this is his current PB, let's break down this run. Nice Twice spawned on an island and immediately punched down a tree. After crafting sticks, doors, and a boat, he was ready to go to the ocean. He found a shipwreck with 9 iron and 4 emeralds in it, then went to his second one, which had 5 more emeralds. The third one he went to had 8 more emeralds, and the fourth one had 5. The reason that he needs all of these emeralds is to trade with villagers later on. After crafting full iron armor, tools, and a flint and steel, he was ready to enter the nether. Unfortunately, the first magma ravine that he found was fake, but this was a blessing in disguise because he boated straight to an ocean monument. After getting the gold from it, he traveled to nearby land and found a lava pool. He entered the nether at the late 10-minute mark and spawned right next to a fortress where he easily found a blaze spawner. After getting 7 rods, he was out of the nether by the 13:30 mark and almost immediately found a desert village. After sleeping the night, he started his trades. He placed down a brewing stand and traded all of his gold to the cleric for emeralds, and luckily he got the 66% chance of the ender pearl trade. After trading all of his emeralds for pearls, he threw his first eye at the 17:30 mark. One thing to keep in mind is that he had traveled a long way from spawn, so there was a chance that the stronghold was very close. Well, it was close, and the portal room was ocean exposed. I should also mention that 2 of his eyes broke, so he needed a 2-eye. Luckily, it was a 2-eye, and he was in the end at the 19-minute and 30-second mark. Unfortunately, the dragon took ages to perch, but when it did, he barely didn't do enough damage to kill it, so he just finished it off with an axe, setting a new PB of 23 minutes and 8 seconds. At the time, this run was 12th place, and 4 months later, it's sitting at 27th. His first run of 2021 would come in the form of a 5-9 players 1.16 RSG world record, where he teamed up with Streffen, Uncle Tan, Sam33H, and DMax to get a time of 21 minutes and 58 seconds. The very next day, he shattered his 1.16 RSG PB with a time of 15:29, which was 3rd place on the leaderboards. Hey, remember when I said that Nice Twice and Minecravenger's 1.14 duo world record stood for just under 6 months? Well, after it was beaten, they took it back on January 20th with a time of 18 minutes and 57 seconds. This time completely stomped the previous world record by over 2 minutes and is still on top today. That wasn't even his crowning achievement for the week though, because 3 days later, he teamed up with Minecravenger and DMax to beat a random seed in the fastest time ever. Let's break down this run. They spawned in a village with a blacksmith that would make even the most experienced runners shit their pants.
Oh my god, oh my, oh.
Not only did it have a diamond pickaxe, but also 10 obsidian, so they didn't even need a lava pool. After gathering basic tools, they all entered the nether at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. When they entered, they immediately saw a fortress and split up the work by having Minecraft get the blaze rods, while him and D-Max mined gold nugget ore to try to get pearls from the piglins. After Nice Twice mined a bit of gold, he started breaking up the nether portal in order to have enough obsidian to blind travel. Once they had the rods, they did an educated travel, and after Nice Twice got the angle of the stronghold, he broke the remaining obsidian he needed to get to 10. After blinding, the eye thrower went backwards, telling them that they were very close, and after a bit more triangulation, they were digging down at the low 10-minute mark. It took them about 40 seconds to locate the portal room, and they were all in the end at 11 minutes and 10 seconds. The dragon took about a minute and a half to perch, and after Minecraft 1 cycle, they secured the world record. This world record has not been beaten to this day. Up until this point, you may have noticed that the only category that Nice Twice hasn't touched is pre 1.9. Well, that would change in the month of February. His first time was 48 minutes and 49 seconds, followed by a 40:35 5 days later. His next PB in the version would come on March 8th with a time of 30 minutes and 5 seconds, which put him into 25th place on the leaderboards. At the making of this video, the last run that he submitted was a new PB in 1.16 RSG, bringing his time down by a few seconds to 15:24, but he got a 15:08 that hasn't been verified yet. I'm going to quickly break down this run. He spawned on an island and quickly made his way to a shipwreck. This shipwreck somehow had 21 iron, and since the island had no trees, he got his wood from it as well. He found a lava pool and entered the nether at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. He found a bastion at the 3-minute mark, and it was a bridge. After routing it and getting all of the necessary items from it, he was in search of a fortress before the 6-minute mark. The fortress was visible from the bastion, so that search didn't take him too long. After almost dying to a wither skeleton, he got all of his rods and was blind traveling at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Fortunately for him, the stronghold was not too far away, only taking him about 2 minutes to find. He entered the stronghold at 12 minutes and 38 seconds, and it took him about 1.5 minutes to route it. He was in the end at the low 14-minute mark, and the dragon perched for him very quickly. He nailed the 5 bed, even doing a 4+1 at the end, which is where you explode the bed, then quickly place another one and explode it, avoiding the last turn. Once verified, this run will be placed somewhere in the top 25. The last achievement that he has gotten so far was uploaded to his YouTube on April Fool's Day and happened a few days prior to that. He teamed up with Minecraft and set a brand new 1.16 Duos RSG world record with a time of 12 minutes and 25 seconds, but unfortunately it was beaten by Feinberg and Raynex a day later. Regardless, 12:25 is an extremely respectable time. Quick update, about 2 hours after I voiced over this entire script, he posted a 218.283 SSG 1.16 run on YouTube, so yeah. I will also give a quick mention to all of his category extension PBs. On August 20th, he got a 1.14 SSG killing the Elder Guardian world record at 26.14 seconds. This run is currently 2nd place. On August 27th, he got a 1.16 SSG killing the Wither world record at 11 minutes and 36 seconds. This run is currently 6th place. On September 3rd, he obtained an emerald in 1.16 random seed glitchless in 5.7 seconds. This run was 8th place and currently sits at 21st. On September 25th, he entered the nether in 1.16 RSG in 20 seconds, putting him at 7th place on the leaderboard. This run is currently 37th place. On November 9th, he obtained a diamond in 1.16 RSG in 7.5 seconds, putting him in 15th place. He is currently 24th. On February 11th, he killed the Elder Guardian in 1.16 RSG with a time of 1 minute and 11.8 seconds. This run was 2nd place at the time and currently sits in the same position. A day later, he killed the Elder Guardian in 1.16 SSG with a time of 14.25 seconds. This run was 2nd place at the time and currently sits in 3rd. He also has a time of 14:54 in Filtered Seed Glitchless, which uses a seed generator that gives you a god seed every time and holds a 5th place time in getting Hero of the Village advancement in a random seed at 4 minutes and 9 seconds. To conclude this video, I want to do some math. Nice Twice submitted his first run to the Minecraft Speedrun leaderboards 415 days ago. Over that time, he has held 13 world records. On average, this guy has gotten 1 world record every 32 days at the time of making this video. For comparison, this guy has gotten more world records than the amount of summoning salt videos that were released in the same time frame. From the time he started speedrunning to the current day, his combined RSG time is 1 hour, 8 minutes and 37 seconds, which puts him in 6th place. I hope you enjoyed the video, but before it ends, here are a few words from Nice Twice.
When you started speedrunning in Minecraft, did you ever expect yourself to be in the position that you are at right now? I guess I was pretty confident that I can improve and get better. To improve myself, I just watch others and how they do, try to understand the strategies and yeah, just learn from them. So yeah, as I said, I'm playing Minecraft for a pretty long time and I got some experience out of playing a lot of survival games on gomhd.net. That's an European server. I mean, I created content before speedrunning about just survival games and PvP and stuff. So I always try to get publicity out of that. I did not expect that it's gonna work with speedrunning that way. And I mean, what helped for that was getting a world record. And yeah, shortly after I got the record and there were more and more people watching me, I couldn't understand why they would watch me. I don't know if that makes sense, but I always ask the question, I ask myself, why are they watching me and not someone else? I don't know. So I'm very grateful for everyone who supports me and watches me and yeah, just likes to watch my speedruns.
Run was. Thousands of attempts were put in by other runners in order to beat this time, but the amount of luck needed was almost unbelievable. Either a runner would have to get the same luck that Thunderful got, or they would have to become so good at the game that they could just save 30 seconds off of an already near perfect run with just skill. After this run was completed, the runner I mentioned previously, the Sizzler, had been improving. A lot.
It's below 940 people. Minus 46 seconds. On
I hate
it
you so
and
much. After hundreds of hours and thousands of attempts, Sizzler would finally beat Thunderful's seemingly unbeatable run with a time of 9:38 on July 29, 2015. The first and most important thing I would like to note about this run is that it did not have good blaze luck like Thunderful's run did. That's just how optimized the category was becoming during this 4-month or so period. To reiterate just how crazy Thunderful's luck was, in these 1500 or so attempts that Sizzler did, blazes only spawned outside of the fortress once. Like I said before, the movement and strategies had to become so optimized that Sizzler was only 10 seconds behind Thunderful's run after the Nether. Going into the end, he was now only 6 seconds behind the previous world record, and a great dragon fight is what gave him the record. Sizzler himself said that he would not be going for the record again. The grind he went through for this time was crazy, and you would basically need blazes to spawn outside the fortress in order to beat this record, at least for now. Only a couple of weeks later, Sizzler would complete this run. How is such a time save possible when the previous run was already near perfect? Before we go any further into that, it's important to understand how seeds work in this game. To put it simply, the whole entire seed is responsible for biome generation. However, only a part of the seed is responsible for the generation of structures like villages and strongholds, cave layouts, the Nether, and the End Island. Due to limitations of the randomizer that the game uses to generate seeds, adding 2 to the power of 48 to seeds will keep the part of the seed that affects structure generation, nether generation, and end generation the same, and only change the last part of the seed, which is only responsible for overworld biomes. These seeds that just have 2 to the power 48 added to them are commonly referred to as sister seeds. So how was this one found? Well, it had been known for a while that adding 2 to the power of 48 to a seed had the properties that it did. With this knowledge, a seed finder named Azalef generated a list of seeds that started by adding 2 to the power of 48 to Tara's original seed, and then adding it again and again and again, creating many sister seeds in hopes of finding a better seed for SSG. This is where another seed finder named CrafterDart comes in. He also wanted to find a better seed to improve SSG at the time and would manually check these seeds to see if they would be better. After noticing the existence of a dungeon in one of these seeds, he accidentally discovered one of the best seeds to date for the game. In addition to the dungeon, there was also a taiga biome and a lava pool nearby, meaning that runners could finally use snowballs instead of crafting arrows to destroy end crystals. With the stronghold nearby, this solidified the fact that this could be a good seed. After a lot of tedious routing, CrafterDark found that it was indeed faster than the previous seed, and runners would immediately start using it, with Sizzler being the first to get a new record on it. With all of that information out of the way, let's roughly discuss the route done in this run. After collecting some wood, Sizzler digs down into this dungeon to grab iron and a bucket from the chests. Then he gets some flint and stone and heads back up to the surface to collect wool and water on his way to the lava lake to create another portal. He enters the portal into the nether, which again is the same as the last seed's nether, and actually gets good blaze luck, which saves him a lot of time. After exiting the nether, he collects snowballs to use for the fight, which is the first time they will be utilized in this category. He also collects leaves on the way to the stronghold. When he does get to the stronghold, he gets to avoid going to the library to collect strings because arrows are no longer needed to be crafted, which also avoids killing chickens up on the surface. With a pretty solid end fight, Sizzler was able to clutch out the record with a time of 9:17. It was at this time though when runs would start being timed with the in-game timing method. This would take loads out of the final time, which would prevent people with worse PCs from having a disadvantage compared to players with good PCs, in addition to loads just being inconsistent overall. Without loads, this run's in-game time was 9:08. This run would stand for 10 days until he would beat his own record with a time of 8:52. Overall, the run had cleaner early game and a solid Ender Dragon fight, which led to him saving about 16 seconds. On the same day, August 19th, he would once again beat his own record with a time of 8:21. Once again, better movement in the overworld saved him some time, but he got bad luck in the nether and had to run all the way to the blaze spawner, losing a significant amount of time. He made this up with a solid end fight and decent pillar RNG. 5 days later, Sizzler would drop his time down to an outstanding 7:37. He starts off the video by noting that this run would be very hard to improve on. Why exactly? His luck in the nether and the end. First, the blazes spawned outside of the fortress, which alone got him 35 seconds ahead of his last record. And secondly, good luck with the dragon charging him very often got him the rest of the time save he needed to beat his previous record by nearly a minute. Sizzler stated many times in his commentary over the run that this would be extremely hard to beat, and it would probably stand for a long time. And oh, how right he was. Nearly 2 years passed until another world record would happen, but the SSG community was not dormant. During this 2-year period, version 1.9 was released, arguably the most controversial update in the game's history. Groundbreaking new things were added that both pleased and displeased the community in and out of speedrunning. The controversial part of the update was the way PvP, or player versus player, and PvE, player versus environment, had changed, making it so that attacks would have to be timed in order to do full damage. Instead of being able to spam click or jitter click, you would now have to wait for this bar to fill up, significantly slowing down PvP and PvE. In addition to this major change, the end was completely revamped, including the Ender Dragon fight itself. With this update, less pillars would spawn, but some would be covered by iron bars. It was quickly discovered that you could just shoot under the iron bars though, due to the slimmer hitboxes, although it was pretty precise. This end update immediately begged the question, would this new version bring faster or slower seeds to SSG? Well, to answer this question, the community would have to look a little deeper into the update at the minor changes added to the game, not just the major ones. One change that caught the eyes of runners was end portal mechanics. Like I mentioned toward the beginning of the video, there is a chance that end portals spawn with all 12 eyes already in the frames. However, when this happened, the portal would not light. With the new update though, it would. Because this could skip traveling to the nether, the seed finding community had started looking for good seeds with 12 eyes already in the portal because of how much time it could save. This was unfortunately shut down very quickly though. Another minor addition to 1.9 was that strongholds would spawn much farther away from the seed spawn point than before. Just the time spent running to the closest stronghold would be slower than going to the nether, and this was in conjunction with a slower dragon fight. Because of all of these things, seed finding efforts quickly shifted away from 1.9 and back to other versions of the game, mainly 1.7 and 1.8. However, because of how tricky searching for seeds on 2 separate versions was at the same time, seed finders eventually shifted their focus to 1.8 because it was believed at the time that trading routes would be the future of the category, and trading in 1.8 is much better than in 1.7. So, after nearly 2 years, Sizzler would beat his insane world record by 10 seconds on March 27, 2017 with a final time of 7:27. This run was phenomenal, and the only major time saves around the run were RNG based, those being Blaze RNG and Dragon RNG. The main reason he was able to beat his last PB without good Blaze RNG was because of how much he improved his movement and crafting in both sections of the overworld. These improvements would make this run extremely difficult to beat, right? Well, the very next day, Sizzler would beat this run with a time of 7:11. A combination of a better dragon fight and blazes spawning outside of the fortress let him beat this insane run by so much. This run was extremely good, but now the category was getting to a point where it was all dictated by RNG. However, this wouldn't be an issue for long.
In this video, we'll cover the entire history of Minecraft here on YouTube. Joined by some very special guests, I advise you buckle up, because we've got a decade of content to explore. More videos dedicated to one game on one platform than any other in the entire world. And well, we have to be honest with ourselves here, Minecraft is a game unlike any other. It has not only monumentally transformed the gaming industry, but has also helped shape the very video platform we use today. YouTube and Minecraft go hand in hand in many people's minds. And in this time of new wave speedrunners, live tournaments, and introspective video essays, I figured, well, I've been around the community for 10 years. I've actually been there, in the background, behind the scenes for so many of these projects and events, so why not start at the beginning and go over everything? 10 years of content creation, 10 years of incredible relationships, events, and changes for the gaming and video industry. This is the entire history of Minecraft on YouTube. Welcome back to Quebec Corner. My name is Connor, and today on this Development Circle special, I'm going to break down the most iconic creators, significant events, and major content trends that made up the past decade of Minecraft since its initial rise to popularity in late 2009. If you're looking for a specific year, you can find timestamps in the description for each. If you're looking for a specific new gaming platform, well, you can download, play, and create PC games on Core for free right now, and they're sponsoring this video. I mean, creating a documentary is tough, but making a game on Core? Super simple. First of all, it's powered by Unreal. To set the stage, the year was 2009, I had just entered my first year of high school and YouTube was getting pretty big. MMOs like RuneScape and World of Warcraft dominated the gaming space. Call of Duty commentary was amongst some of the most significant genres that found an early footing in the YouTube space. What originally started out as simple tutorials, guides, and showcases of gameplay quickly evolved into what we now know as commentated Let's Plays. No longer were you just watching to beat that hard level, you were watching entire segments, huge stretches of the game, experiencing it and growing closer, might I add, to the quirks and personalities of those recording. In hindsight, it was no surprise that when a chirpy Swedish developer 29 years of age by the name of Marcus Persson uploaded a video to showcase his new in-development block building game, it called
Hey kid, you want some candy? That's a screenshot and a half. I'm doing floor 7, pretty chill, because I'm queuing for good parties now. Rare recom's not sold yet, or something. I'm getting FPS drops like crazy, what the... My PC's not hot, my hands are just cold, but...
spot some eyes. Titled Cave Game Tech.
Hmm?
I have a question.
What?
Why don't you care when people say like the N-word and stuff?
Cause I'm not doing it. They can do what they want, you know. If they're doing it specifically to be mean to someone, then I'd be like, hey, that's not cool. But like, they're just saying it. I don't know. Doesn't feel like quite as big of a problem. I feel like words are just words. I'll like them for them. Isn't that cool? I'm just playing 4-7. I was doing M5, but it got very boring. And I wanted money. Now I haven't dropped anything, so. How many of your things have sold? Yeah.
I ended up insta-selling them. It only lost like 7 mil. And with how much I made by them just going up a bit, it made it so I just didn't actually really drop. And I bought a Twilight Skin Tiger and Jimmy's opening it up for me. So.
I learned why my floor 7 parties were so bad. It's because I was always queuing for like Kata 33 and 35. Yeah, I was playing with the Kata 50. And he told me I should queue for Kata 40, and I'm like, okay. And I did, and I've been getting like sub 6 runs every run.
Who is this Kata 50 you always talk about?
Mary Toast. What's his name right now?
I know 2 Kata 50.
I have a lot added, but I don't play with them.
I have so many, not famous, but rich people added. Like Eternal and that guy's rich. And this other guy.
And then you got me. Actually, you don't have me added. I may have actually moved you. It may have been. It was a misclick, alright? I was in a call with Bagel, and he convinced me. And I'm like, alright.
Oh yeah, does Bagel not like me?
Probably not, because you banned him.
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, is someone last breathing it? Because our DPS is insane. Cool. I love not having the whole party join.
Bro, this run could have been better if my mouth wasn't stupid.
It's an Iron Man? What the? It's a rich Iron Man. They have a 8-star Scylla, an 8-star Term,
Oh my.
a G-Drag.
Oh. How do you make 1 billion coins on an Iron Man?
I only have 226 million purse. Well, only, I say.
So how do you make
Like I
5
would.
billion coins then?
I don't know. I really got told to invite a cat of 27. He said, I'll just stay at entrance. I won't die, don't worry. And I'm like, no, you're gonna make the run so slow. High cat parties do floor 7 so fast. Would probably be faster if I had a height. Got school on Monday. That's gonna be annoying. I'm gonna have to wake up early.
It's Monday.
It's like 2 days. Tomorrow's Sunday, so Probably not going to be grinding as much anymore over school time. Still play some, but... Yo, insane blood rush by my team. We're 2 minutes in. We're like almost done with all the secrets in the whole clear and we just got to blood. We're really smart.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Only took us like 2 minutes to clear, but blood, it's like another minute or two. We already have 300 score.
Tech test, the video received little attention compared to the behemoth numbers the game pulls today. You see, Minecraft was a combination of inspirations, Dwarf Fortress's base building mechanics mixed with the isometric 3D gameplay of
bro. KM4 this guy's 1.5 KM4, 1K M5, and 2.5 KM6.
So many runs.
And then like 3,047s? Yeah, 3,200. No life moment? Everyone in my party is so rich, and I'm in my golden head.
Not your fault you got, like, whoa, scammed. Yeah.
This guy must have like... He must have like keys, macros set up to say stuff, because he said in all caps, "Get out of my split," and then he said, "Oops." And I don't think that's something you just like accidentally type, you know? Maybe I just don't know stuff, you know?
What's a split?
Like their section of the dungeon. I think, at least. So when he said it during clear earlier. Ooh, I got over the top of the wall. That's cool, yeah. If I can not get kicked, that would be cool also.
Roller Coaster Tycoon and Infiniminer's first-person block visuals. Notch's previous work on a
so
range
much
of
pressure,
game styles allowed him
if you
to
don't get
form
it done, everyone's
essentially
like, how didn't you get it done? You had the whole time
mixing
for
pot
all of
vision.
us doing
And
our
early in
terms.
2009, Notch left his workspace and over the span of a single weekend created the base game, setting it public on May 17th as a developmental release. It didn't take longer than a day for YouTube footage to be posted of someone playing the game. WAP, as the channel was known, posted this great clip showcasing some of the earliest mechanics. Still deep in development with only the basic code in place. Minimalistic textures, no physics, it's remarkable to look back on. But to this day, you can still note the charismatic charm.
He's just that slow at one. Oh wow, everything was done.
That this early version provoked. It was an inviting, open world of potential. There's plenty of footage out there of this very original version, but the first Minecraft video with actual commentary arrived not long after on the 21st of May 2009, 4 days after the game's very first playable release.
Hey guys, this is the Carlzor again. Once again, just showing you...
The Carlzor has spoken in his comments.
Oh, that's what he does. He goes down and last breaths this
I
week.
found Minecraft because the very early version was shown on a website like Indie Game Blog or something, and after trying it for a while, for some reason I found the ability to build with blocks in a tiny little world to be so compelling that I just had to make a video to show other people. Little did I know that there'd eventually be so much more to the game, and that it'd turn into the massively popular thing it is today. A user by the name of Hypnotoad also released a series in late 2009, one of the first, if not the very second, to do so, thus re-emphasizing this idea of Minecraft commentator. But as many videos from back then probably have, it's now been deleted, and his second series didn't begin until early 2010. Individual videos popped up here and there, mostly friends messing around, making jokes, and just generally memeing. There wasn't a specific end goal with Minecraft yet, there was no agenda, it was a lot more like a playground where people could just express themselves and their creativity freely, and in its simplest form, could be understood by players of all ages. And the best thing, all of those ages began to take notice. No one really knew just how much potential there was at this point.
He seems kind of annoyed. He keeps getting
ever
picked from
predicted
terms.
just how special this game would end up being to all of us. Not just a financial success, but emotionally tied to the hips of many of us creators here on YouTube. And the
I get a
audience
hand on
watching
using
along.
the gimme emote. Emoji.
Hello,
my
welcome
bad.
to my tutorial for Minecraft. Now, this game has a bunch of cool little elements to it. I mean, the game itself is called Minecraft.
First, it is my honor to present to you the completed Greenhouse of Harmony.
It's beautiful. It is made by a single man.
It became quite obvious quite quickly that Minecraft was the new kid on the block. Not just a game, but a popular game at that. It pulled in a ton of views with the bare-bones playthrough style and a vast open sandbox to leave your unique footprint. Commentators were left with ample time to integrate their own personalities, and those who didn't tended to suffer. Minecraft was never, and still is never, an instant success. It was always about the people playing the game, and the ones who let their personality, their creativity, and their authenticity shine. They were the ones that rose to the top. You'll notice here the first of many interesting intersections between Minecraft and YouTube. Many people's first YouTube video was a Minecraft one. It goes to show just how in unison they were even from the get-go. People started their channels just to make Minecraft content, to share their adventures with the world. And yes, of course, YouTube had already been well established for 5 years at this point, but the gaming category in particular was debatably still lacking a face, a poster child, a game that all gamers could rally behind. However, during 2010, with the release of Minecraft, that all changed. During this time, not only did lots of existing channels switch to Minecraft content, but a large majority of creators began their channels altogether, a response to the popularity of this new up-and-comer. Many even inspired by the likes of pioneer creators like the three legends we'll be discussing today, X, Paul Saws Jr., and Cnanners. Regarded by most as their first Minecraft YouTubers, if you were active online at this time, your first Minecraft video was likely one of these three. One of the most popular of them all, Paul Saws Jr., uploaded his first Minecraft video on the 29th of July 2010. He was one of the first to truly serialize the format of Minecraft commentary Let's Play. He would proceed through the game, giving the viewer tips and running into surprises along the way. Considered also by many to be the origin of
Paul was in
Minecraft
trap skip, he
enjoyment
died in trap.
is Cnanners, who created his first commentary video on the 25th of August 2010. Over time, his likable personality and funny antics had his audience growing, and as more eyes looked to Minecraft, Cnanners would go on to dabble in multiplayer with the then unheard of Captain Sparkles.
Hello everyone, my name is not Cnanners, it is Jordan, or Captain Sparkles, but of course I am here with Adam, and we're going to be going on take 3 of our Minecraft boat course.
X was my first Minecraft YouTuber. I had caught glimpses of Minecraft on the homepage, and upon searching for the game, I found him. He wasn't too far along in the series,
Kato's
if I
online,
remember
that's
right, and
weird.
it caught my...
He's almost never on. Kato's online.
Is he still in the guild?
Yeah. It's a rare occurrence to see a wild Kato in the guild. And online.
I wish I could play floor 7.
How much money did you gamble on dragons?
300 mil.
Hmm. Interesting. It's a lot of money.
So now I'm a bit short of being able to buy a Hyperion.
Dude, can pad work for once?
My interest, so I stuck around and watched. My PC gaming history at 12 years old was nothing much more than World of Warcraft and random CD-ROMs I had lying around.
Bro, our
I wasn't big on
the cat of 50 in
RuneScape,
our
and up
party
until that
really be
point,
using
I
his
really
last
only
breath
consumed
instead of
YouTube for
damaging the
funny
boss.
animal videos, dancing stormtroopers, Nyan Cat, and a handful of simple PlayStation game walkthroughs. Shout out to LEGO Star Wars, by the way. I've always loved the English language and writing stories too. I used to want to be an author, so when I saw X's intro cards that each had a poetic quote semi-relating to the open world freedom and survival aspects of the game, I was taken aback and drawn in. I was engaged and ready for a story, a journey. And that's something so special. A magic that so many creators captured in their own ways. A new Minecraft Let's Play.
What'd you say?
I threw 4. Necron beamed me. It's like those kids in Fortnite earlier. Okay, buddy. Auto terms much? Also, I think this guy's using a Ringo.
Weren't we playing with someone earlier who was also using it?
He was like, he wasn't even near the term and it was done. So I'm pretty sure he's using some sort of hack. No, if you're using a Ringo, you can auto term from distance. I love getting lagged back into lava and almost throwing the run. Well, actually, I wouldn't have thrown. If I would have died, I would have thrown and gotten a handle. Instead, I didn't throw and I didn't get a handle.
Wrong tissue. Wrong choice.
It was like watching a different person open the same door each time
Where's
to find
chat
something
triggers?
completely different on the inside.
What got me started with my Minecraft content journey goes to, how I initially found Minecraft. A friend of mine showed me Minecraft in November of 2010. And because I was playing RuneScape so often, I remember telling him, and I even said it in my second ever Minecraft video, that I didn't want to get addicted to another game.
I first heard about Minecraft probably back in, I'd say it was probably 2011.
I think that I became aware of Minecraft back in 2009. That was the time that Minecraft, that was this just weird program that was on a forum somewhere.
I think my initial sort of interactions with Minecraft and where it started for me, I think was pretty much like everybody else's. Just like all of a sudden on the trending page, Yogscast, Yogscast, Yogscast. It was just the thing that everybody was watching. It was kind of the momentary Let's Plays just before Shadow of Israfel really kicked off.
So I wound up hearing about Minecraft from all my friends in the RuneScape community. So they all switched over to Minecraft when I took like this 6-month break, because I had 99 agility in RuneScape. And if you know anything about RuneScape, if you get 99 agility in RuneScape, you're probably fat IRL. And so I was really fat IRL. I wound up leaving YouTube for like 6 or 7 months to go focus on my health. And when I came back, everyone was gone and they were all playing Minecraft. And I was like, what's Minecraft? And then, then I looked into X, and then I was like, oh, I like Minecraft. Dude, just something about X was so charming. It was like the most simple Let's Play ever, and that's actually what started, Sky Does Minecraft.
Nanners was a big influence. He had this Let's Play series that I watched that made me first get the game. I'm not sure if they may have been a little later, but Yogscast was one of the big
Yeah,
early
there's someone with a
people,
Ringo on my party. It
that I
turns out.
remember with at least their in-depth
that's
Let's
so
Plays
fun.
that didn't just seem like they were playing the game.
The first Minecraft creator that I ever watched was David
I won't get
Angel64, otherwise
banned,
known
but,
as
like,
X from X's Adventures in
definitely is
Minecraft.
Because I played it for probably about a month.
Like, he's
just
not
on my
even
own,
near
and
the
then
curve,
I
and
just
he's doing
completely
them
fell off of the game.
automatically.
Because
And he's, like,
mostly I didn't realize how much
ghost
fun it
blocking
could
stuff
be.
without silverfish on.
You know, when
That
you
you
play
need the
multiplayer with
silverfish
your
to
friends.
respawn.
Once one of my friends
Like,
started filming
he's
Minecraft.
doing all sorts of sus things.
I don't know why people would risk that with the amount of time they've probably spent.
They're like, we get minus 0.5 seconds off of our run. Do it.
Another YouTuber named Bayesian Canadian, he was like, "Hey, like, you know, you should try this out. You know, you can play multiplayer, right?" And I was like, "All right, I'll put the game back on. I'll try it again." And I fell in love with it.
I was actually introduced to it by a friend of mine, a real life friend of mine, blowing up a castle. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna try and buy that game."
Of course, Minecraft looks the same to everyone. A creeper explosion will always be a creeper explosion.
Crap is
but
next to blood,
experience how
kid.
individuals dealt with that explosion, how they dealt with surviving that very first night, that was part of the ride. Minecraft's survival elements also lent itself very well to the episodic, progressive adventure content. The random worlds and infinite possibilities for generation provided a completely unique experience for every channel, and it was relatively easy to record chunks of gameplay, then upload them as parts, a format that would lend itself very well to the Minecraft and overall gaming genre on YouTube in 2012 and 2013. Building structures allowed players to construct their own narratives, and with there being no streamlined pathway to an endgame, the fun came from trying to survive the then much tougher nighttime, without items like beds or random villages to protect you.
I started making videos showing off the progress on my map, inspired by people like Nanners, like David
Fucking pad work, I stood
Angel64,
on for
like
5
Hutch,
seconds and it didn't
you know,
work.
a lot of those machinima guys.
Maybe-
from
maybe
way
not
back in
5,
the
maybe
day.
more
I got
like 3,
inspired
but
by their
still.
commentary style, and I sort of started doing the same thing, and you know, on my own channel. So that's
Come on, Hypix.
really what sparked the initial sort of birth of my content journey with Minecraft.
I think it was just a small
Where's the
friend
corn?
group. We started talking about it, and we're like, "Oh wow, did you find that? Did you see that thing that people are talking about?" I can't remember
Oh.
how we shared it or
Cool,
how
the
we found
hacker
it.
glitched
I think
into
over
phase 3
time,
and is
as the
taking the
block
corn with
palette
him down.
became a little bit more extensive, because I think at the beginning you maybe had like 3 or 4 blocks, and when I say extensive, I'm talking it got to like 9
I see what I
blocks.
said is not like
It was creative mode, but I don't think
quality
you really
of
had
life, as
much of the
people like to call
functionality.
it, users. I'm really bad at pad.
That we have in creative mode today. Like, I don't think there was like, you know, you couldn't middle click on something to select more of it. The palette and the actual block varieties were just so minimal as well. It was just bizarre, and like I don't think it ever actually saved, if I remember correctly. So you build all this wacky stuff, and then if you happen to refresh the page or close the browser and then open it up again, it was all gone. Like, it was just a new build every single time.
There's no brightness slider in the old versions of the game.
Like,
There's
by
no
the time someone
sprinting
has
in the
one
old
turn
versions.
done,
If you're being chased down, it takes a lot longer to
done,
run
like,
away from
everything
something
in
than
there.
it used to. So the game is actually much easier today than it was back then. Back then it was a lot harder. Plus there were no enchantments back then, so you couldn't buff yourself out with protection for everything.
And it started to appear as this game that was like, wow, you can actually kind of create environments and worlds in it. And I personally saw it as an opportunity to create cool little videos and sequences in them.
I enjoyed X's content specifically because he started the episode by pitching a plan, and then somehow, someway, it would always go wrong. I vividly remember his large mineshaft with the glass skylight, which today, with creative mode, would take 2 seconds to build, but for him, quite a few episodes. And that was okay, because every step was still enjoyable. What would appear to some as dead space filled by imprints of personality, random anecdotes, and unexpected moments. I highly recommend you go and check out his series in your spare time. It's a time capsule, an ode to what Minecraft was. Of course, there's one particular channel I'm failing to mention here, and that's because while their first video on the game was posted in late December of 2010,
You got just like
many
the whole
creators
team
on
over
the
here,
today,
last breathing Necron.
It didn't really take off until 2011, when their channel Blue Zephos, or the Yogscast, and what everyone believed at the time to just be another survival multiplayer series, turned into a monumental narrative known as the Shadow of Israfel.
Also, those kids in Iron
I'm
Man,
not
so
sure
they
if
had to grind
this may
like
have been a little
extra
later, but
long.
Yogscast was one of the big early people
Probably.
that I remember with at least their in-depth Let's Plays that didn't just seem like they were playing the game.
But just the whole concept of that game, I think, initially started to pick up momentum on YouTube when people started to see it as a storytelling tool, when Simon and Lewis really started to like do something extra with it. But the game had been buzzing around for a little bit. Like, I was quite active on a lot of like forums and lots of indie games. I played so many MMOs over the years, like everything from, you know, RuneScape to WoW to Guild Wars. Like, I'd even played little ones like Phantasy Star Online that used that kind of like RPG maker element. So I was just like a fiend for new games and like up and coming little projects. So
at the time, the channel had only amassed around 20,000 subscribers, and the lead duo of Simon and Lewis covered World of Warcraft for the most part. Their background in RPGs and role-playing, of course, led them to try out Minecraft when the alpha version began supporting multiplayer connection via player-hosted servers. These two British gamers had an iconic chemistry. Viewers fell in love instantly and were watching along from the first night right up until the construction of a base, or, well, their cave. And to be honest, they were already receiving some really good attention for their delve into multiplayer Minecraft. People clearly seeing ripe potential in the multiplayer systems. However, they were garnering a lot of views because it was more than tricky to actually get it all set up and running at the time, especially for younger kids. While the Nether had been in single player for a while at this point, multiplayer had to survive without it due to a persistent issue. Over the course of a few months, the survival series would evolve and begin to play on the rising creepypasta of Herobrine that had become popular amongst the Minecraft forums of the time. As Mojang began to promise a multiplayer Nether in the future, they drew Herobrine closer and closer as they finished building their Nether portal, subtly integrating multiple roles played by their band of friends, acting as random NPCs, and adding new builds and extensions randomly off camera between episodes and then reacting to them. The Yogscast slowly built on what was possible in-game, and more importantly, what was expected of content creators: narrative against the norm. By the end of the year, the Yogscast would go on to garner a total of 1,300,000 subscribers and would rise to become the most subscribed gaming duo in the UK. But we're by no means done with 2011. In fact, we've barely even started.
What's up, homies? My name is Sly Fox Sound, and we're playing some...
Hey everyone, it's Cupquake, and I am playing Minecraft.
Here is the friendly chapter of Adventures. We've taken on a new map.
People really be joining my party and be like, alright, I gotta go AFK, and then they die. I love Party Finder, especially when it's like Cat of 40's doing that.
It's gotta be kind of risky because a lot of people like ignore ad when people throw.
Like, I could understand someone doing that if it was like a Cat of 30 party or 33, maybe even 35, but Cat of 40, I don't know if I'd just like be like, yo guys, I'm an AFK. It can't be that important.
Not long after December of 2010, Minecraft began beta, as Notch started working full-time to develop the game, clearly understanding at least a fraction of the magnificent scope on offer. And while Paul, X, and C-Nanners continued making content and inspiring younger viewers, their builds were by far the best to show for that time. I mean, they had great adventures, experiences, what they made was really cool, but there were hundreds, if not thousands, of users now taking to the Lego-like blocky landscape to create incredible builds. We all remember the giant Starship Enterprise. I believe the Yogscast even did a video on it themselves, Lewis being a big fan and all. In fact, they were really the first to start buckling down on custom maps and mods from the community in general. Too many items, inventory,
Good morning.
editor,
Why is
trees,
this guy
and
messaging
timber,
me good
even the
morning?
old
He lives
Plains
in
mod. And we can't
New
forget
York.
the pyramid map with
It's not morning for either.
Shout out to another British Minecraft duo also that regularly reviewed mods, GameChap and Bertie.
I say what home chaps and shreds, Game Chap and Bertie here. Yes, indeed, but I would say united beyond busy and the rather marvelous potion of giant size modification by Alchemy.
oh, dude, yeah. Yeah, all the mods that kind of originated in those early days was so genuinely mind-blowing, because we at that point didn't realize that Minecraft was really as flexible as it ended up being in the long run. Like, back then we felt as though the developer made the game, it was Notch making it, and that was it. Like, whenever people added these little extra like caveats on top with mods, like, it was just such a mind-blowing technical advancement. Like, it was almost like going, like, you know, from being cavemen dragging knuckles around to suddenly having stone and wheels and everything. It just felt so monumentous and huge that something like, I played particularly the AdventureCraft mod, and a guy from France called Gary520 had actually created his own unique Zelda story, but using adventure craft, and that introduced things like cutscenes, which was just insane. Like the fact that he was able to manipulate some form of camera in order to fly around, I'd literally never seen that before. And I think that's why it was so exciting back then, is because every mod that came out was the first of its kind.
People were really starting to get to grips with this game, and beyond grand-scale single-player builds and constantly expanding multiplayer dynamics, this is also where people began to customize the game. At first it was a tweak here, change there, but soon customized world files began releasing on forums for download regularly. Then more, then more. Soon there are enough to begin categorizing them. Most were challenge maps to begin with, survival islands and planetoids being particular maps of note.
Playing Minecraft back then was a much simpler time. Like, custom maps weren't even all that common back then. And if you did play one, they were like very, very, very basic.
I think the thing what drew me to things like Adventure Craft and even the Kingdom of the Saplings pack that I did was I felt like I'd reached my limitations with the vanilla version of Minecraft. I knew I didn't have a team to create something like the Shadow of Israfel series, but I wanted something that would gently guide my narrative along and even just give me a little bit of direction, because back then, I don't even think the Nether was introduced at that point, so there wasn't really any kind of end goal. Like, you know, the goal at that time, the best thing you could do was collect diamonds, and that was it. Like, imagine Minecraft where you can't go to the Nether, you can't go to the end, so actually having additional goals to strive towards actually gave you almost like a checklist for each episode, and also would allow people to almost like set you like miniature challenges. So I think the game was a little bit too short length in terms of its, you know, progression at the time, which is why these mods were so appetizing, like for everybody's sort of like thirst.
Adventure maps also became popular around this time, placing the user in a more linear narrative that saw them going up against a wide assortment of themes whilst completing challenges or quests.
I can remember distinctly there was this world file that I booted up, and it had this small little cliff face, and it was nighttime, and I put some torches down, and I was like, man, this is so atmospheric. I'm going to record it. And I think this was back in the time of like fraps. So I recorded it and stuck it in Sony Vegas and put the Gymnopody piano track to it with just like a moving, and I was moving the camera, I was moving myself just very slowly to try and get this like nice pan of the night sky to the Gymnopody soundtrack. And I was like, man, you can make like cool little atmospheric videos in this game. It's so nice. And I was like showing my friends, I was like, look at this. But that was the start of me sort of using Minecraft as a creative platform. Eventually, somehow, we stumbled across the Minecraft forum, and that was when I discovered the adventure map category. And there was this one map called Professor Griswold and the Adventure of the Pyramid. And it was very simple. It was very like, you got a clue at the beginning, like, hey, you're kind of following this professor. And within the pyramid, I remember you found the diamond crystal thing, and you're like, wow, that's the thing that I've been hunting this whole time. And you take it from the monument that it's stuck in, and the entire roof explodes, and lava just comes like falling down. And I was with a friend at the time, and we screamed so loud, and it felt like we were playing like an action film. And that was the first time I realized that, like, wow, you can actually create these sort of emotional pulling experiences in Minecraft by making adventure maps.
Yeah, I've been working with the Nox crew, I think since, when was my first Paladin's Quest episode? I'm just looking now. It looks as though it was in July of 2012. So yeah, we're coming up on like 8 and a bit years, or 8+ years now. And everything they've ever done, whether it be something more simplistic like an adventure map with like the cutscenes and kind of the character dialogue boxes and things like that, they've always done everything to such a high caliber. Like, they sort of reach the ceiling of what the limitations are, and then they just smash through it every single time. And like back in the day, the Nox Crew game show was, I think, entirely done with redstone. Bear in mind, back in the day, we didn't have things like command blocks or data packs or anything like that. We'd be lucky to slap a texture pack on something, but the ingenuity that they demonstrated was just unreal.
We discovered the first Minecraft YouTuber that we're familiar with, called In the Littlewood. We made and released an adventure map called Paladin's Quest in 2011, and In the Littlewood was one of the more notable YouTubers that picked it up and did a series on it. And this was our first time experiencing as a crew like a YouTuber doing a series on one of our things. and we became good friends with him. And through him, we discovered people like Variety, I think was at the time. There was AtGod, Bashaverse, and I don't remember. It was a very small community at the time. Fire UK was sort of like a build team / YouTuber because they were releasing time lapses.
I think I've always worked so well with them because I have that same production value kind of like threshold myself. Because where I came from a radio background, I think I already had a certain level of expectation for myself of how slick the products could be at the end. So I think they provide the content, I provide kind of an entertainment aspect, and I've always tried to stay on par with them. And that still extends now to the Minecraft Championship.
Parkour maps, redstone puzzle maps, fantasy, sci-fi, Minecraft became a canvas for the paintings of colourful minds. Naturally, watching your favourite creator experience new maps in the game became routine, and a nice break between regular survival videos as players would wait for more updates and gameplay features. It would always be nice to see a creator return to their survival world after a while to add to it, build on their creations, explore new features, if their world hadn't corrupted, that is. And this is also when creators began to really diversify their content. The most popular channels by the end of 2011 no longer just running an ongoing survival series, but also had adventure map run-throughs, and even multiplayer series, challenge, and roleplay videos. We'll explore some more of those creators, but first, I'm sure there's another genre of Minecraft content that started somewhere in early 2011 that I think I've failed to mention.
I came to dig.
Captain Sparkles, or Jordan Marin, began making content way back with SceneAnners in August of 2010, but he really began to dominate the scene after the release of his now hit single TNT, a parody of Tayo Cruz's Dynamite. This went viral, following the success of Deadworker's original song In Search of Diamonds a few months earlier, and was part of the first wave of the Minecraft parody genre that would eventually blow up. Revenge came in August, and Form This Way from In the Littlewood was also a popular one that year. It was about this time when some of the biggest names you'll have ever heard of in the community started making content, or their content really started gaining traction at least. Toby Games with his comedy antics, Captain Sparkles with his music and fun puzzle map playthroughs, Tom Syndicate and his Minecraft project, In the Littlewood and the Zelda Adventurecraft series, The Creatures with their group collaborations, Bashaverse rising with machinima and server projects, Ant Venom searching for a golden apple, the first Minecraft Monday ever with Bebop Vox, Hat Films and their quest, Redstoning with Seth Bling, Verida and his team, Unspeakable Gaming, even Minecraft Chick aka Lydia Winters of Mojang. We had Looklin, Chimney Swift, P-Bat, Sly Foxhound, Husky Mudkits, Log.z, IHas Cupquake, LD Shadow Lady, Vintage Beef posted his Minecraft application back then, Caveman Films, many of the Hermits, even Pewds posted his very first video around this time. And yup, it was Minecraft. I spoke with Ant Venom and Aviator Gaming, who first started uploading their content around March 2011. On the map-making side, Jesse Cox started his show RPG Makers. Vex published the first 3 Super Hostile maps on the 4th of March 2011, and Deep Space Turtle Chase, one of the most advanced maps for its time, released in October of the same year, created by the Voxel Box in partnership with Captain Sparkles, all providing a myriad of content for YouTubers to cover and explore with their audience.
One of them was a guy named Notux. This guy was a one-man wrecking machine builder in Minecraft. He was probably one of, if not the single greatest builder who's ever done any work in Minecraft. So there was him. There's the Voxel Box. They did Captain Sparkles' Deep Space Turtle Chase map, which was at the time a breakthrough map. That was one of the very first maps that had custom voicing, that had a storyline, that, you know, used mods and whatnot to, you know, help advance the story. Like, I mean, it's not talked about much these days, but that adventure map, that one project, I would say, redefined what adventure maps could be.
It was around this time that more players began to collaborate and share ideas. More players were making SMP servers together, shows were being conceived, the build team and channels were becoming incredibly skilled with their ever-growing block palette, and as Mojang continued to pump out updates during beta, we saw Minecraft boom.
From a personal standpoint, I definitely need to acknowledge the music video projects that I worked on with various animators. There is Nick Nickum, there is Bootstrap Buckaroo, who I did a bunch of animations with, and then working with Pedro, Music by Pedro, working on those. So from a personal standpoint, those are some big projects that I remember.
A surgence unlike anything gaming related seen on YouTube before, not only because of the game, but because of how it acted as a vessel for our imaginations, buildings, towns, societies, our own custom worlds that we could invite our friends to. Basic survival, roleplay, and even creative-based server worlds would be advertised left, right, and center on the Minecraft forum. Players would use mods like Townie and Economy to add currency and all sorts of world-building features to make their servers into more of a community. All of this was showcased and even advertised to an extent on YouTube. Modders even began showcasing all the prominent YouTubers who had played their creations. Bigger and better builds were forming, and with bigger and better groups too. At this point, it's safe to say that Minecraft was looking promising. So promising that it caught the eye of a big up-and-coming company known by the name of No, we're not there yet. Never mind. No, this company beginning with an M was actually called Machinima. You see, Machinima was the MCN. Not just the one to be with, it was your only option back then. As a creator, if you wanted to earn money from your content, a Machinima rev split was your best deal. Of course, nowadays, that's not the case, and we could speak on Machinima as a company forever. The point is, they took a turn away from FPS-related titles after seeing Minecraft with a branched company called Machinima Realm. This largely focused on the big MC creators and productions. Many of the creators you've watched got their start here, or at least an initial burst of new viewers. While uploading their own content, they would also become regulars to the Realm home channel, creating a cult of fan-favorite creators. Animations such as the noob adventures of Minecraft began here too, garnering significant audience in the earlier days. Unrelated to Realm, a popular MC animator called Slamacow's first uploads were in late 2011 too, as were Element Animations.
I think probably the most standout piece of Minecraft content for me in terms of mods or servers, obviously you can't deny how incredible Hypixel has been, and obviously that's now evolving into what will become Hytale in the future. But I think the one that really stuck with me was the Aether, because there were a lot of mods floating around at the time that were adding in lots of different items, but they all kept you within your current dimension. And then we started to have things like the Twilight Forest, which was sort of stepping into that boundary of creating an alternative portal and going to a different realm, but it didn't really feel like that added too much in terms of a gameplay aspect. It was some gigantic trees and some, different colored rivers, and it just didn't feel like it had much to offer at the time. But the Aether mod was just next level. It really felt as though the Aether was a complete and done product. Like, it felt like the sort of thing you would get with an actual expansion pack from the studio themselves. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It had set biomes. It reset you to 0. So instead of, having a diamond axe or pickaxe, that was useless. That was equivalent of the wooden equivalent inside of the Aether. And the fact they had like these cool Zelda-style dungeons inside of these massive kind of, coliseums and things like that, it absolutely blew me away. And it doesn't surprise me to hear that the developer of that, the initial developer, obviously expanded that team slightly, then dropped the project after a couple of iterations, but now literally works for Mojang. I think they recognized the potential as much as the players did.
Really, the only, Minecraft was so addictive in its nature back then. I would even argue more so than now, just because back then it was all about surviving and thriving. Most of us who were making content about the game were genuinely very, very, very invested in actually playing the game, and we were just sort of sharing that with the outer community. I think videos back then were way more personal in nature. You could really feel how much someone enjoyed playing the game, especially during the 2010 and early 2011 era. So the desire for making the content was just naturally existed in our desire to play the game.
Griefing, where one would destroy another's buildings or abuse them in game. This was common. Hacking, less so, but there were many clients out there that provided god-tier abilities, the likes of which really couldn't be combated in the early days of Minecraft, with the game receiving updates so commonly. With growing groups of users, all with the single aim to troll, we were bound to eventually see one of these groups take off by showing their antics on YouTube. Cue Team AVO. Team Abolition ran riots across servers all around the internet in their pursuit of deserving ice cream. The group would go all out, establishing completely unseen hacking methods and crazy client tactics to pull one over on server owners that called them out, blowing up hours of work, in some cases completely obliterating servers, and in other cases, just stealing a few boats here and there. While denial of service and other abusive behaviors were wild and uncalled for, this is internet history. It's there for you to go back and watch right now. Even at the time, as a child, I enjoyed the mischievousness of it all. It felt like a true Wild West, and funnily enough, the team ended up working with half the people they originally griefed in the first place. While Team ABO are long gone now due to the anti-cheat explosion of MC exploiting and general disinterest on their part, we can save them in the history books. From the most meta of Minecraft content to the most immersive, machinima was an MCN, but the word machinima is also a terminology describing machine cinema in general, recording footage in-game, editing voice acting, applying cinematography practices. You were creating a real production, almost completely void of the classic first-person perspective offered by almost every single other Minecraft channel out there. And it makes sense. By mid-2011, Minecraft YouTubers were popping up everywhere, and while it would still take another 2 years for any of those names mentioned today to really get any significant numbers, it was apparent that something needed to change. Some creators needed to be different. Enter Legend of Hobo. Widely regarded as one of the most fun machinimas, this series captured the entire community for a very special moment. While creators had uploaded short machinimas or even single videos without a specific narrative, no one had ever really challenged the medium in such a way that attempted a full series, let alone one that made use of naturally swaying entities like grass, professional voice acting, and cool camera effects that required custom plugins and mods. The Legend of Hobo, created by Team Bashaverse, set a new precedent, that there was big things possible in this game, big stories to tell that people were willing to take seriously. The Basher community exploded more or less overnight, and he soared to the top spot with his team as they worked hard to produce more episodes. However, when it became apparent that things were not all going to plan behind the scenes, and with a failing multiplayer server and huge amount of time invested into a secret Minecraft MMO project called Rune, the Legend of Hobo went on hiatus. But the damage was already done. Now people knew there was a taste for cinematic content. Fun fact, I actually wrote a large set of books for the Rune project, and even worked under the Bashaverse team to help him film Legend of Hobo. You can actually see me there, I was one of these zombies, I promise. I was only young, but I was ambitious and really wanted to get into the scene as a body actor, a job profession likely unheard of by anyone that hasn't filmed an in-game machinima.
You guys are incredibly organised. You were telling me yesterday about your texture packs. And your...
give us a bit of a walkthrough on that. Yeah. Okay, like for every single scene, we have about 13 texture packs. But every single shot, we have to change the texture pack for every single angle so we could get it perfect. Every single frame, yeah. The dirt on the road is totally not dirt. If you had normal texture pack, it's wool. It's because dirt turns into grass, and we can't have that happen.
And I think this was at the time that Legend of Hobo was a thing from Bashaverse, and that was quite inspirational. Because there was some really good cinematic stuff going on in Legend of Hobo. I think he really mastered how to tell a story through like a video game like that, and really good voice acting as well.
Elephants aren't native to this part of Rune, you moron.
I've seen one, my lord.
What? You've seen an elephant?
Yes, my lord.
Here? Near our city?
No, my lord. When I was a small boy, I saw one at the circus.
Me too. What does that have to do with him finding an elephant here?
Maybe there's a circus in the palace.
I joined a server with over 60 people. We were all orchestrated to apply different skins. We would hold bows with no textures so it looked like we had our arms out like zombies, and were shown a map with locations to where we would be during shooting. My interest for Bashaverse eventually died when Rune was announced as never happening, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Machinima. Not just Legend of Hobo now, but the likes of Crafted Movie had platforms as aspiring movie makers. Exploding TNT started Minecraft videos in 2011, and he quickly switched to machinimas, gaining 5 million subscribers. He had characters like Pink Sheep who would have their own spin-off channels. Exploding TNT's content was aimed at a younger audience, with simple premises. His videos would gain millions of views, with the most popular being 17 million.
The ones that I feel like really stood out to me would be like people who managed to make such a name for themselves without even dropping a single word, and that would be Exploding TNT. The reason Exploding TNT sticks out to me a little bit more than anyone else was just because of how hilarious it was that he had, never talked, and it gave me this open opportunity to make like memes at conventions. I would introduce like a random person as Exploding TNT, like every party that I went to. And I don't know if Exploding TNT even knows this.
With Realm at the helm hosting events and fueling collaboration like never before, you can see why people at YouTube